Hi, in this video we are going to do an example of the sum of a geometric series. This is going to be example 1b. The problem is, in summation notation, the expression will be 3 times negative 1.5 to the n power. My first term is going to start at 0, and I will go all the way to 11. All right, in the previous video, example 1a, we went over the basic equation for sum of a geometric series. It was s to the n. First term, 1 minus the ratio to the n power all over 1 minus the ratio. What I need to find right now is what that first term is going to be. So let's do it here. For A1, right here, n equals 0. This tells me what my first term, like what I'm going to start with. So in the previous example, it was n equals 1, so I started with 1. So A1 represents the first term. With my first term, n is going to be 0. So I'm going to take this expression, 3 times negative 1.5 to the n power, and I'm going to use the number they tell me that will represent my first term. So n to the 0. Okay, anything to the 0 power is equal to 1. Only the negative 1.5 has been raised to the 0 power. So this is the same as 3 times 1, which is 3. So my first term is 3. My ratio, and again we talked about it in the last video, that the ratio is going to be the number that's being raised to the power. So this multiplication part is what's changing each time. The 3 is constant. So the ratio is what I would multiply, or what's going to change. So my ratio is negative 1.5. Okay, so we have to talk about this n right here. This represents how many are in my series. How many numbers are there in the series? Okay. So my first term starts at 0, and my last term is going to end with 11. And we talked about this a lot with our arithmetic series, that if I subtract those 11 minus 0, I would think that there's 11 numbers in my series. But I need to add one more to it to account for that very first term. So there are actually 12 numbers in my series. Right? So this will be to the 12th power all over 1 minus negative 1.5. All right, I'm going to push pause as I write out how I put it in the calculator, and then I'm going to type out in the calculator and get an answer. So you guys push pause at the same time, type it in your calculator, and let's see if we get the same thing. Okay, there are two ways that you can type this in. I've shown them both here. I accounted for my minus a negative and I made it positive. I always like to just add those together when I type it in the calculator. So then I'm just typing in 2.5. It's really important though that you include these parentheses. We cannot do minus a negative, changing it to positive. Because again, PEMDAS takes precedence and we've got to figure out what this is to the 12th power. And then, so negative 1.5 to the 12th power is going to be a positive number. So then I would end up with 1 minus a positive number. Okay? Final answer, negative 154.5. And it's not exactly equal to that, it's approximately, so we like to put the little squiggles in to account for rounding. Awesome, well done.